Coming up on this episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover.
Hasn't someone done it? Why has college football not been brought to London? We decided we'd make a run at this and then figure out, is it a viable opportunity business-wise, and really, making a cultural shift to continue to bring American football at a different level.
Welcome to a very special episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. College football is our focus for this Union Jack Classic special. The Big 12 are bringing the Arizona State Sun Devils and the Kansas Jayhawks over to play at Wembley Stadium on the 19th of September 2026, the first college football game to be held here in the UK. We're all excited about the game here. We're going to be in attendance. But we had a very special opportunity to sit down with the CEO and chairman of the Union Jack Classic, Brian Dubiski, and get to ask him all about how the game came to be, how the idea of the Union Jack Classic was first born, and all the logistics and things you can look forward to when Arizona State and Kansas come over to London in September 2026. Plus all that all-important ticket information. So sit back and relax, enjoy. We've got 45 minutes with Brian, fantastic guest. Great to sit down and a pleasure to interview Brian. So here it is, me with Brian Dubiski, the CEO and chairman of the Union Jack Classic. Very honoured and privileged to welcome the CEO and chairman of the Union Jack Classic, Brian Dubiski, joining us all the way from Houston here on Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. Brian, thank you for coming on. First of all, how are you getting on? How are you doing?
Doing great. A lot of work to put on this event, but as you know, we're doing great. We're making great strides and excited to be bringing the game over to London.
Yeah, there's been a buzz, I suppose, here around when we sort of first heard the rumblings that there was going to be potentially a college football game coming over to Wembley, and then the news broke. I suppose probably about a month or so, kind of since it's been out there completely that the Arizona State Sun Devils and Kansas Jayhawks are going to be coming to Wembley Stadium in September 2026. I suppose we're going to ask you so many questions about the Union Jack Classic and sort of how it's got here. But first of all, Brian, for yourself, as being the person who's in that position of kind of the CEO, chairman of the Union Jack Classic, how is it came to be that you were the man then to kind of be the head of the Union Jack Classic?
Yeah, so look, we there's a group of us, and my business partner and I have another company called Rhino Marketing, and we've operated all over the world, really, working with sports franchises and governing bodies, and my partner was part of really the ground floor of bringing American football to London probably 3 decades ago, from really the World League back in the day when it began, and then working with the NFL with the UK games, literally from when they were preseason games, now obviously expanding into 3 or 4 games, and now NFL expanding across other parts of the European side, and so we'd been really thinking about this game for years now, talking about it. Why hasn't someone done it? Why has college football not been brought to London? And so I'm a former college football player. My partner is a former college football player. Of course, as you can see behind me, Texas Tech is my alma mater, and my partner played at TCU. And so we kept talking about this, and finally, probably about a year ago, we decided we'd make a run at this and then figure out, is it a viable opportunity business-wise, and really, making a cultural shift to continue to bring American football at a different level from the NFL over to London. And so we just put our heads down, went to work, and here we are today. A lot of moving parts, a lot of work. Sort of a daunting task, but we were able to put the pieces together, and again, very excited to bring what we consider a different version of American football at the college level to London for everyone to experience.
And I suppose that sort of teases up nicely in terms of then college football seems to be having kind of, I wouldn't say resurgence, obviously it's huge, but the awareness of college football, certainly here in the UK and Europe, it just seems to be exploding. And yeah, just with maybe, I don't know if it's the changes in college football, that we've got kind of more teams being competitive, all those pieces, there seems to be a real boom period of college football. Why is the Union Jack Classic, Brian, such a historic event for college football?
Yeah, well, you're bringing what we consider the best of Americana in football world. NFL is great. Listen, those athletes are like movie stars, right? Highly paid, highly sought after. The game's amazing. The NFL's done an amazing job of laying the foundation. What we felt was is that there's just a different experience with college football, right? That sort of rivals what we would consider almost a European football spirit and crowd, right? So you have to think about at these universities, you have people that are attending the universities, and a lot of them are multi-generational, right? Their parents went to this university, their grandparents went to this university. There's a lot of connection and spirit and passion, and almost I've used the word tribalism in the past a little bit, just because there's this deep rooted passion supporting their institutions, their universities, and now, like you just mentioned, the landscape of what once was an amateur athlete in college in the United States has now turned into, they're paid, and some of them are making millions of dollars now. And I think that's exciting for them to get that opportunity to be able to monetize, their name, image, and likeness. And so, we felt like bringing that over and letting the rest of the world experience what we experience over here was just it was a natural fit, and we're excited for the fan base to be able to experience what we consider to be just a more passionate, fast moving college football game. And a lot of those players, will absolutely go on to play on some of these NFL teams that, the fan bases will be watching in the future through the NFL. So it was just an exciting opportunity, and we were able to kind of again put those pieces together and be able to bring it over.
And it seems crazy to think of well, a 2 year period in terms of if you're saying you started working on it maybe a year or so ago, 2 years from the idea and the desire to do it to delivering the game.
Yeah.
That 2 years flies by so quickly. Before we know it, we're all going to be at Wembley Stadium for the game. Kind of, how's the pace you've been kind of working at? What's that been like in terms of that idea and that first, we can do this, oh, we should do it, to it now happening? How's that been?
It's been a challenge. You think about bringing an event of this scope and magnitude over to what we consider one of the most iconic stadiums in the world at Wembley Stadium, right? And so we took that year to really vet out a lot of relationships. We've worked very closely with Wembley Stadium. We've worked very closely with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who makes Wembley their home. They've been great partners of ours in helping us kind of scope out the workload that's going to be there. The big difference that is really the NFL travels with 55 players. College football travels with 105 players. So, now you're talking logistics, you're talking, renting two jumbo jets, one for each team, that holds about 230 people. These teams, these college teams, what I think people should understand is these facilities have hundreds of millions of dollars poured into them now. Their stadiums over here, their locker rooms are, I mean, you walk in and you're just totally floored and wowed by how they're designed. The players are well taken care of, but we wanted to be able to again bring this piece. Really, our goal was on the backside was how much of this logistically and operationally can we set up over the year while we were still pursuing teams and conference relationships, right? So we kind of put the cart before the horse, so to speak. But we were able to really get things aligned so that we felt, really comfortable. Now we just needed to get a couple of teams that believed in the vision. Sport is something along with music that transcends the world, right? It's a common denominator among all of us. It doesn't matter where you're located geographically. And so we were excited to again get the opportunity, and we're moving along very quickly. We have a countdown clock in our office here, so every day I'm reminded of the heavy lift and what we've got to accomplish still, just on the backside of all this, logistically and operationally.
And you mentioned that kind of countdown clock. That countdown clock is going to be at 000 soon enough, and we're going to be there for the game. And you mentioned kind of some of the partnerships. There's a huge partnership making this work is with the Big 12. Arguably the most exciting conference in college football in terms of kind of how competitive the Big 12 is. Always a mystery going to the last few weeks of a college football season on who's actually going to win the Big 12 because it's so competitive. How did you get the Big 12 on board then for them to be willing to kind of send two teams to London for this game?
Well, it's an interesting path. We had conversations with a lot of teams. Obviously, the conferences themselves each have a commissioner, right? There's essentially four, now five, if we bringing the Pac-12 back into the equation, power conferences. And I'll say Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, he's a visionary, right? He's a trailblazer. He wants to make the Big 12, the global brand, globally. He's got a big vision, and he kept speaking about it, with media, and really at the Big 12 press day, he stood up at the podium and really announced, hey, we are taking our sports global. And that was sort of the last piece. We had been engaging with them for the last year, felt really comfortable with their vision and where they wanted to go. They are amazing partners, very supportive. We work in tandem with their team. Brett, again, has been amazing. Scott Draper, who runs the operations for the Big 12, has been amazing, and their team has been great to work with. They support us in every aspect, from the marketing to selling tickets to operationally. And so it's nice to have a good partner standing next to you, as opposed to us doing this in a silo ourselves.
And was it important for you guys and for the Union Jack Classic to get somebody and get teams from a conference that kind of has that experience of the international game? In terms of the Big 12 sent Farmageddon, Iowa State versus Kansas State, out to Dublin this season in week 0, and especially just that wrinkle of it being week 3 next year. Was it important just to have a partner and a conference that knows what they're doing in terms of the international travel?
Yeah, listen, they have amazing teams at all the universities. Some of these games they travel at here in the States, because it's so geographically large. They have teams that do this every single day. Half the games they play are on the road, right? Now this is different. We're flying across the pond, and so it's a bigger undertaking, but the basic foundations of that are still the same. And so our biggest deal is how do we get these large teams, their coaches, you think now about, all the teams have multiple nutritionists and analysts. And so you have an entire team that need to come over and travel. And so from that aspect, again, they have teams in place that are really work well and know the ins and outs of how to get their teams places. There are some logistic challenges, getting there, and then they travel with so much equipment, and then they need so much food and special different supplements and things like that. So a lot of that, right, is its own beast of having to figure out how to schedule transporting that over, getting the teams even to the stadium with all their equipment, right? They're using large 18-wheel truck vehicles when they travel. So, there's all of that we're working through, and that it's again a big task, but one that we feel very comfortable with, and I think we're pretty aligned with everyone to make it seamless.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we won't be seeing Arizona State and Kansas dragging their stuff on the tube to Wembley Park come September. On that, I suppose just quick focus on the two teams while we're talking about the sort of the Big 12 partnership. In terms of kind of getting two schools with kind of I think name recognition and I see relatively the big schools in terms of the conference itself and the sport as a whole. Why is it important that it was these two teams, or how happy that you've got kind of two such established and well-named teams to come to London?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of bringing the game over, right? Name recognition. Listen, Arizona State and Kansas both are great in respective sports, not just football. Arizona State, of course, won the Big 12 championship last year, so they're a hot team. They have a great quarterback. Kansas is has been up and coming, and of course they have currently a great quarterback. And so we felt the game would be really competitive, and both of those have huge alumni bases. And this is where we feel the differentiation between the NFL and collegiate sport is again the fan base. So when we travel, we expect the teams to probably collectively travel somewhere between 20 and 30,000 fans. Well, when you walk into a stadium and you have that sort of fan base that is specific to each team as opposed to an NFL game, listen, we love the NFL. We go to the games. You go to a game and you've got 32 jerseys being worn. Some of them are passionate about their team that they like that's actually playing, but the rest of it is, the pomp and circumstance of just having an amazing NFL game with amazing athletes. And so for us, we feel like the stadium dynamic will be different because we'll have literally, hopefully 30 plus thousand fans from both schools traveling over. So you should have a nice crowd and energy in the stadium.
Yeah, we've certainly seen that. We've been attending the Dublin games, the week zero Dublin games, and we've seen that with the teams that have travelled across. So Kansas State and Iowa State last year, Florida State the year before.
Right.
Yeah, and just kind of the energy that those guys bring, and it does feel very different having attended again the NFL games for 15 years plus. It's very, very different, and it's probably more akin to our soccer games than the NFL one. So yeah, it's always so much fun. I know you had some of the guys out, so some of the guys that cover college football and American football out in Kansas. Kansas played Kansas State just this past week. Again, what are those guys? What do you think those guys are going to take away from kind of that trip to Kansas in terms of what the Kansas Jayhawks are going to bring to London?
Yeah, I think what they saw was exactly what we've just been speaking about in the fact of just the passionate fan base. We were able to immerse them into the university the day before the game, touring the facilities, and I think all of them, look at it with eyes wide open, going, "Wow, we had no idea that the universities have this type of facilities, stadiums." Locker rooms, weight rooms are just, over the top amazing. And it rivals, if not better than the most NFL facilities and team locker rooms. So, from that standpoint, I think they enjoyed the touring the day before, and then game day they got to see tailgating. Right? I mean, you just have just an immense sea of people that are out, having a beer and a hot dog and tailgating hours before the game that are very passionate. And then the game itself, it's there's a lot of just again the spirit, the tribalism of their schools supporting their schools, and of course that was an in-state rivalry game, which made it probably a tick or two higher of just how intense the game is. And I think they get to see a style of football that's probably a little bit faster than the NFL and a lot of fan base that the cheering, the chants in the stand. Again, I think it's probably the closest thing, in my opinion, that sort of rivals an EPL crowd or a La Liga crowd on some level, just in terms of the fan base and how passionate they are.
And so speaking about kind of that experience that those guys have had traveling out to Kansas to Lawrence this past week, how will you look to kind of recreate that authentic college football game day experience and feel in London?
Yeah, so we speak about this all the time, and from the very beginning, our goal was to literally pick that up and place it in London, and I think we'll be able to accomplish that. We'll have tailgating, we will have activations all over the city. Both schools are Adidas schools, so we're working very closely with Adidas so that they can do some activations and we'll have the bands there. We'll have the cheerleaders there. We'll have the mascots there. So from our perspective, we want to make sure that we're staying as true as we can to the Americana spirit of all of the collegiate sports side of this and the experience. and so we're working all of that as well as all the other daunting tasks we have. But it's very important for us to make this an experience. It's a football game, yes, and it's a conference game, which makes it vitally important to both teams, which I think brings another factor into the style of play and what the fan base will see. But we want to give the fan experience everything we can to be able to tailgate and see what that's all about. Again, the marching bands are a big part of the collegiate side, and there's a lot of spirit there, and it's just a lot of fun. From top to bottom, from whether you're a family or you're just an avid football fan, American football fan, it'll be a great experience.
So, and obviously for the game you mentioned, if you're expecting 20, 30,000 people to come over from Arizona and Kansas. Also, you're going to have the kind of the UK NFL fans and UK college football fans, because that's a growing base as well. There's also going to be, I think, people who this is going to be their first experience of football full stop coming to this game. How can they kind of contribute then to making this kind of such a big event?
I think you get to sort of let yourself go, right? Again, it's a different experience than the NFL games. It's more of a very spirited event, and so I think I would encourage all the fans that want to come be a part of it to attend all of the activations. We'll have music, we'll have tailgating, we will have activations all over the city, and really get to feel how college football, what college football brings to the table. And in my opinion, it's much different than the NFL, just in the way of, again, you have this sense of connection and community. And again, I'll use that word tribalism because it's a very passionate fan base. And so it's very important to them that their teams win and that they're represented well. And I hope that, people that are considering attending will come and get to see all of it and experience all of it.
Excellent. And we know sort of the Arizona State guys have got a reputation for being a bit rowdy as well, and a bit of a party school. I suppose what could Brian yourself obviously have been kind of so ingrained in the Big 12, kind of with your connections to Texas Tech. What can we expect specifically to see from the Arizona State fans and team and the Kansas Jayhawks fans and team that that'll be maybe a little bit different to other teams?
Yeah, I think, look, all the teams have pretty amazing fan bases. Arizona State has a huge, alumni base. They're one of the largest universities in the states as far as enrollment goes. And you start taking that over decades of times, and so I think what you'll see is you'll see a lot of them in the city. I think from the domestic side over here, you'll see everyone's excited to come over and experience London. And it's a cultural shift a little bit, right? Like I think the way sports is being globalized now, right? The EPL is very popular in the States now. La Liga is very popular in the States. Formula One, which, I love and I'm a big fan of, is done an amazing job in the States. Likewise, I think there's an appetite across the pond for Americana and American football, and so I think the NFL again has done a great job. But I think the fan bases will come in; they'll enjoy the city. I think people, it'll be a big economic impact. We take that into consideration, obviously, because you'll have 30,000 fans coming over, and I'm sure you'll have people from all over the UK traveling to the game as well. So listen, hotels, restaurants, bars, you'll see people in their Arizona State and Kansas swag, just having a great time and enjoying the moment. And that was also important to us from actually the university side too. You have 105 players on each team. Some may not even have passports. Some have never been, out of the country. And so we want to make sure they have an amazing experience too and get to see, the UK, London specifically. And so we have some events planned for them, obviously, and want to immerse them in the culture and give them an experience that goes beyond just the football game as well.
And you mentioned and you touched on some kind of again some more maybe like the logistical challenges there as well. You've talked about kind of just the volume of people that come with the college football team and the
Right.
bigger squad. What are some of the other kind of big logistical challenges you've faced so far, Brian?
Oh gosh, really trying to find accommodations, right? So we've worked through that and have some nice accommodations for both teams. Of course, both schools are wanting to have their own sort of alumni areas and parties and gatherings. And so when you start putting that on top of just the basic concept of how are we getting several hundred people from each team over and managing all of that. There's a lot of safety and security aspects of that traveling, the transportation to and from, the hotels to the stadiums and the practice facilities and the cultural events that we'll be taking them to and the activations and the media. So it is a lot of work. And so our team, I think, is very very well versed in this with working with the NFL and other big sporting events. And so I think we're very comfortable in making sure that all the boxes are checked on that.
We've seen teams travel in week zero, which is a bit of a quieter week in general for college football. So just have fewer games and so not having the games the week before. Have there been any sort of like unique considerations logistically and around travel and needs with it being a week three game in terms of I don't think the teams have got buys the week before and how's all that kind of shaken out?
Well, that was the tough part, right? Week three, finding two universities who buy into the vision, who want to expand their personal university brands globally, along with the Big 12, and so having a Big 12 partner is great. They helped us, right? Both teams had week three games on the schedule already for 26, so we had to move those games, which took a lot of work across the board. And both universities in the Big 12 did an amazing job getting those rescheduled and moved so that both teams could come. You know, taking the teams over, making sure that they are there the right amount of time so that they can get acclimated, and then getting them back home immediately after the game. They literally will fly out after the game Saturday night, and they'll be in their own bed Sunday, hopefully in a day or two to recuperate and be able to perform at peak level again the following week. Moving forward, having a great partner like the Big 12 allows us to, in the future, schedule teams and work on getting them a bye the following week. So there's really not an issue with that. The initial issue was rescheduling games and trying to find two teams that were not going to have a bye the following week, and we were able to do that. In Arizona State and Kansas, immediately put their hand up to be a part of this, along with, we were talking to teams from other conferences as well, but felt like with the support of Big 12 and Brett Yormark's vision, to really make this a global game and a global conference. Having a partner like them and helping us achieve this just made it a lot more fluid and a lot easier and simpler task.
Excellent. So I suppose looking more towards, I suppose, the future and the, I suppose, the impact of the game itself. You kind of mentioned, obviously, the expected economic impacts with number of people coming over. What are you hoping kind of like the cultural impacts of the Union Jack Classic are going to be?
Well, I hope it's great for both sides, right? Again, go back to the experience that the players themselves will have, the coaches, their families. We in Kansas, it was amazing to just hear the fans that come up and speak to us about how excited they were and that they were already bought their tickets or they're planning on buying tickets and coming. And so for again the U.S. side, London's an amazing city. That's why we chose to have it there. The Ireland game's great. They do an amazing job. Dublin is an amazing city and place to have a game. And we felt like London was just a natural fit. The NFL is already there. You have a good fan base. They've invested a lot of money educating everyone, and so what we hope is that they'll come over and have an amazing time. And most of them look at it as a holiday in general for the fan base, right? They'll be there for several days, if not a week, and a lot of people are planning longer term travel around that to experience London and the UK. And I hope from the other side of the pond, I hope everyone gets to be a part of sort of this little piece of Americana and get a better understanding. There's an education curve there because college football is different than the NFL. And that's the part I think we're really excited about. So we hope the fans in the UK will immerse themselves into some of the activations and activities we have, as well as the game, and walk away going, this was an amazing experience. And I see now why, college football is so prevalent in the States and why everyone is very rabid about supporting their team and their universities.
Yeah, I've no doubt you're going to create thousands upon thousands of new college football fans as a result of the Union Jack Classic. Yeah, I certainly, so I love going to the NFL games, but I was looking forward to go to the Dublin games a little bit more, and now we've got one coming to London. It's going to be awesome. I suppose a quick question that might be putting you on the spot a little bit, but I'm sure obviously you've got kind of a plan moving forward. Is this a one-off, or is this kind of are you hoping this is the start of like an annual game like the Dublin Week Zero game is?
Yeah, we have a great partner in Wembley. They love the vision as well. So we have a multi-year deal with them. So this game will be there. Hopefully moving forward, it'll be a permanent fixture. But for now, I think we're in a multi-year agreement with Wembley to bring this at least over, I believe, into 2030. We already have teams that we're working with for 27 and 28. So we'll hopefully be announcing some of those here in the near future as well. So things are aligned, and again, the Big 12's have been a great partner, and we hope that they continue that vision. You never know what's happening in college sports with realignments and conferences and things like that. So there's always the side of having to be ready to adjust to different obstacles and make course adjustments. But we feel really solid about where we are and being able to bring the game over, consistently for the years to come.
Yeah, 5 years is a long time in college football for sure.
Yeah.
If you've got games to 20. But Brian, you've set the bar high now in terms of the teams that you're bringing across in terms of Arizona State and Kansas. So I'm really excited to see kind of who those 27, 27, 28, 29 games are going to be. Looking forward to those announcements. And do you have any vision of looking at and maybe taking this to other European countries as well and creating, because we're seeing now the NFL go to Madrid. That's going to be a new place for the NFL this year. We've seen the NFL go to Germany the last few years. Michigan are going to Germany in week 0 next year. Have you had any thoughts of that, or is it still just kind of just focusing on this first?
Well, I think I'm not sure that the Michigan deal is actually done in Germany, although it's conflicting rumors of what's happening. Right now, what I'm aware of is there's not a game going to Germany, but I would think sure. From the beginning of this, my vision was to get this game to London because it's the hub of everything, and it's an amazing historical city and the UK in general. But naturally, the next step I think to take college sport would be the NFL has made its footprint. And again, there's no reason to recreate things. Germany is also a very heavy American football centric, geographic location. They play a lot of American football over there at a fairly high level. So, I would think that a game should go to Germany. We have looked at that a bit and have had some conversation. We also want to bring over other Olympic sport, whether that's, basketball, what we call over here soccer, obviously, or football, and some other sports. So, and I think Brett Yormark's vision at the Big 12 is also, hey, he'd like to bring over other sport. He's been very vocalized about taking other sport global, and so we're working through that as well. We'd love to have some basketball over there, which would make sense. The O2 is a great arena, and that would be something that I think we'd consider, and we've had some talks about that as well. So the goal would be have this game over there, get it solidified, and continue to grow, the sport of American college football as well as other sport to other areas across the UK and then across other areas of Europe.
Yeah, I like the sound of the London Invitational for college basketball. That sounds
Yeah.
pretty good. That could work. Yeah, a few games over a few days.
You have a great conference in the Big 12 that has some really great collegiate basketball teams, including, look, Kansas is always one of the top teams in the country in college basketball over here. So I think there's a lot of fit there, and I think it's something that we're speaking with the Big 12 about, and how we achieve that, and how we possibly move that forward as well.
Excellent, plenty to look forward to. Back to the game specifically, and more how we can attend. So tickets are on sale now. How's it been so far? How's kind of the early uptake been in terms of tickets for the Union Jack Classic?
Yeah, so right, tickets are on sale. You can go to unionjackclassic.com, and obviously the tickets are through Ticketmaster UK, which is what everything goes through. And the sales have been really good. We've gotten a good first little launch here. It didn't happen exactly how we liked it, just in the fact of, as you stated early on in this conversation, the media got wind of this and it got leaked, and then we were sitting on announcing it, but we were waiting to really move the week 3 games, trying to get that finalized before we could formally announce it. And then it just happened to be in the middle of all the NFL games, so from the Ireland game to the games in London. And so the NFL UK are great partners of ours as well. We wanted to obviously be respectful and do our best not to compete with that time frame. It sort of kind of hit in the middle towards the end of that last game in London between the Jags and the Rams. But so we were moving quickly, and again, doing our best to launch, but be respectful to the NFL and their games. And so now we're a green light and moving quickly, and we've got a great partnership now going with DAZN, who's now obviously carrying all the college football games as well as the NFL. So we'll be doing a lot of partnerships with them. You'll see our commercial running in all of those games very frequently. And so we're excited about beginning, sort of our media and PR strategy to continue to promote the game, and hopefully the fan bases, over there are excited about it, and we'll decide to, if, at some point, jump online and grab tickets.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm just like I say, we've got ours already, and many people will have. But go to the Union Jack Classic. You can find it on X, Instagram, the website, and go get your tickets through Ticketmaster. Now, also great prices for for an event of this size as well. So, and how's that big? How important was that to you in terms of making it real accessible? Because I don't know if you've been close to it, but we've maybe from an NFL perspective, the UK fans are getting a little bit wary of kind of what's happening with the ticket prices. But how important was it to you to make sure that this event was accessible from a pricing perspective?
Yeah, we wanted to make sure we were extremely competitive. We had multiple conversations again with the Big 12, Wembley, Ticketmaster. What are the average ticket prices at the NFL games? Making sure we weren't necessarily competing with that. Look, there are hospitality packages that are always going to cost a little bit more money, and those run really through Wembley, through their entertainment side. But as far as just general ticket pricing, we tried to be extremely competitive. We tried to make our prices more palatable, a more affordable ticket. We understand there's probably a large demographic, right? You have universities over there, college kids, the younger demographic that we hope want to come experience this from, again, all of the activation, the tailgating, just the Americana side, including the game, but being able to have a ticket that's affordable for them and everyone else that wants to come be a part of the game. So we really tried to be aggressive in our pricing strategy so that everyone can come experience it.
Yeah, and certainly achieved. I think, like I say, you can get him somewhere around £50. That's again for an event of this size in nature in London. That's great value. So you guys have done a great job there. You mentioned around kind of some of the groups and demographics in the UK there around things like the universities. How are you working with like organizations? So we've got like the University American Football League, the Bucks, there's BAFA for kind of, again, the amateur game here. How have you guys been working with those organizations around the Union Jack Classic?
Well, we're excited to work with both of them. We've had multiple conversations with BAFA and the Bucks organization. So, we'll be doing a lot of things with them. Hopefully their bases want to be a part of this, as far as tickets go and part of the events. We're working through multiple scenarios of how we can support both of them. What does that mean to them? How can we bring, what our strengths are to the table? To help promote the American game over there. Of course, we have the Big 12. Again, the conferences are advocates of growing the game. So, when you put us all together, we're just stronger as a group to help, anything from coaching clinics to working with the universities in whatever manner it is to promote the games. So we're 100% invested in that and still working through details, but have had great conversations with both those organizations and how we can help support them and we will be doing quite a bit with both.
Excellent. It's great to hear again, just kind of that grassroots level of the sport here, kind of having that trickle down effect of having such a big event, which is really cool to hear as well. In terms of yourself, Brian, I thought we'd finish kind of the time of us today more talk about from yourself from a personal perspective. So again, you mentioned earlier on, so you used to, obviously you formerly played at Texas Tech University. The helmet's there in the background, or a couple of helmets are there in the background. How kind of special is this for you from a personal perspective, with us, the Texas Tech being a Big 12 school as well, that you've kind of got this involvement and the personal touch to this game?
Yeah, listen, I'd love to have my university come over and play. It's interesting because, right, the university has made great strides this year with our alumni base and specifically Cody Campbell, who's sort of the I guess NIL collective guru at this point in investing a lot of money. So right, we're fielding a team that is probably the highest paid team in college football right now. And again, I go back to my earlier statement that I think it's exciting these young athletes now get to monetize some of what the revenue that they're bringing in. It has leveled the playing field, so to speak, right? The parity in the league is very even. What were once great teams and usually the top of the league now are, anyone can beat anyone, and it's an effect of now these athletes being paid and what universities they want to go to. I'd love to have Texas Tech over. I've already had some of that conversation. And so hopefully I can convince my university to be one of the teams. I think they'd represent well. I think, of course, the brand itself and 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 having Texas in any part of the university side, whether it's Texas A&M, Texas Tech, University of Texas, right? All those bring some pretty cool swag and weight, I think, just from Texas itself. And so I'm proud of the team we're fielding. I'm excited about where we're going and the commitment that our alumni base has made really to the sports program and the university as a whole. And enrollment goes up, right? So as teams play well, there's this analytics out there that dictate that enrollment increases, and like uh, you know there's a lot of cross-pollination now across the pond. Everyone here goes and studies abroad, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people in the UK and other parts of Europe come into the States to study. And so we think it's a good fit. We think it's a good opportunity to brand all the universities. But yeah, on a personal note, I would love to have Texas Tech play in the game. So Cody Campbell, if you're listening to this, I expect our team to be there in the next year or two.
And if we do get that goal achieved, I don't know who you need to work on it with. I guess it's with the Big 12. You need to
Right.
get the lift the ban on the tortilla throwing. I think
Right.
people
Yes.
in London
Yes.
would love that.
I don't think I think the tortilla throwing only has to be banned in the States. I think an
I
international
think that
venue
work.
allows us to do that. So yeah, it's not sure how that even originated, but it's been a part of the university now for a long time, and now it sounds like we're going to have to stop doing that over here. So
It's okay. But that's a hell of a lot being thrown at Wembley. If you fill out Wembley Stadium
Right.
with Texas Tech,
Right. 80,000 tortillas being thrown would be quite a bit. Yeah.
And just a quote for yourself, just on Texas Tech are in the mix. It seems, I think they're one conference loss so far, so they're right in the mix to possibly make the Big 12 championship game. What have your thoughts been on the season so far, and how do you think they're going to do the rest of the way?
I think our head coach, Joey McGuire, has done a great job. I mean, he's a motivator, and we have the players to do it. Keeping our quarterback healthy would be a great first start. And then, of course, we lost our backup quarterback last week, who was an amazing quarterback in his own right, to tearing his ACL. So, I think if we can keep our Baron Morton healthy, our starting quarterback, our defense has played amazing. Which is sort of an anomaly for Tech. We usually can score 50 points, but sometimes we'll give up 53. But now we have an amazing defense, and so we have all the pieces in place to put it together. I'm excited about the kids we have on the team. I think they've all bought into the vision, even though, a lot of them are making a lot of money. And so when you bring in that dynamic of money, I think sometimes there's an opportunity that maybe the team doesn't gel properly. But in this case, I think we have a great group of young men that have all bought into the vision. And I think they're excited about moving this forward. Look, I going to Kansas State is a tough game this week. Kansas State is hot, and at the beginning of the season, they were picked to win the Big 12. They have amazing athletes. They're playing very well right now, so it'll be a great game. And then, of course, we leave that game and have to play BYU, who's undefeated. So, from the aspect of the conference itself, again, the league has great teams and any of them can beat the other one any given week. So who knows where this is going to end up, but I love our chances, and I think our team's going to be prepared and ready to play. I'm pulling for them.
So that's why we love the Big 12, because anybody can win it. It's always such a fun conference. Brian, and again, just I suppose a reminder, sorry, before we finish, go and follow the Union Jack Classic on X, on Instagram at Union Jack Classic. Go check out all the details on the website as well, and also get your tickets from Ticketmaster. Brian, it's been great. 45 minutes just flown by. Thank you ever so much for joining us on Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. And we wish you every success with the Union Jack Classic.
Thanks for having us. Yep. Everyone, please go check out the website. Be a part of the Americana we're bringing over, whether that's buying a ticket or not. We'll have lots of activities, music, activations, bands. So it'll be a lot of fun whether you come to the game or not. But yep, unionjackclassic.com. Get your tickets. We look forward to seeing everyone.
Excellent. Come and get involved. Come join the fun. It's going to be great at Wembley in September. Brian, thanks again. Best of luck with it. And thanks for coming to speak to us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Huge thanks again there to Brian, the chairman and CEO of the Union Jack Classic. Thanks for giving us his time. Thanks to the people at the Union Jack Classic for setting it up. And we are so excited for the Union Jack Classic at Wembley Stadium on Saturday, the 19th of September, 2026. Big 12 clash between Arizona State Sun Devils and the Kansas Jayhawks. It's going to be a cracking day, cracking week, loads of events, as Brian sort of hinted at and shared during the interview there. So make sure you are a part of this momentous event, college football in London for the first time. It's the Union Jack Classic at Wembley Stadium. Tickets available now. You can go get them from Ticketmaster, and make sure you're following the Union Jack Classic on X, on Instagram. You're keeping up to date from the updates on the website, and come and get involved in what's going to be a truly special event. That's it for this episode. We're going to have plenty more Union Jack Classic specials in the run-up to the game in September. But in the meantime, if you're not following us, come give us a follow. Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. Our podcast is available on Spotify, available on Apple Podcast, Podbean, Overcast, wherever you get your podcasts from. Also available on YouTube. You can also find all our social media content and posts at GTW_GTC, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Blue Sky. And we'll catch you next time.